Good evening, good evening, Venerable.
Good evening, all of you, and many others.
Actually, they are leading, Venerable, they are leading, and I asked them to lead this program. This is your program and you manage it.
This is the greatness of the professor. How the professors,
we have to groom them.
allow the students to grow.
Yeah, to groom them. I just
this is so
want
precious.
to do so. Yeah, thank you very much, Venerable.
It's so precious.
And they are doing excellent, Bhante.
Wonderful,
Earlier
wonderful.
we had one program with Tibetan University Department of Mool Shastra. We have organized a program and all things managed by these students, PhD students, everything.
Wonderful.
Just I was standing and watching and observing the things.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
So we are doing, means we are coming with all tradition, not only our Theravada tradition, but we are discussing all the branches of Buddhism so that we can know each other well.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is so important, where where all the branches of the same root, the Buddha's teachings.
Yes.
So that's amazing. Thank you.
So in the future, let us, Venerable, plan something about, even on the science, because Banaras Hindu University is very big university, as you know, and we have so many departments, especially science and other subjects also, means all the subjects you can get in the Banaras Hindu University, more than 140 departments.
Wonderful.
So we can organize together, scientific things also together, Pali department, Tibet House, and physics or any other department from science faculty. We can do, I can manage it, and we will continue, hope to do such type of thing.
Sure, 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 sure.
A very good evening and Tashi Delik to everyone. I am Sewang Choston, a research scholar from the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Banaras Hindu University. It gives me a great joy to warmly welcome Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, the director of Tibet House, Culture Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi. Respected Dr. Arun Kumar Yadav ji, the head of the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Banaras Hindu University, other respected professors, teachers, distinguished guests who have joined us from other institutions, and my dear friends, a very good evening and warm greetings. So this evening, we are deeply honored to have Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul with us to deliver a lecture on the topic of overview of the 4 Buddhist schools. The program is jointly organized by the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies and Tibet House, Delhi. So, Venerable Keshela, it is truly our great honor to have you with us today. We are sincerely grateful to you for accepting our invitation on very short notice, and for taking time from your very busy schedule to share your precious insight with us. We also extend our gratitude to Dr. Arun Kumar Yadav ji for this kind initiative and guidance in making this program possible. So I would also like to inform everyone that after the lecture, there will be a Q&A session. You can raise your hand to ask question, or you can drop your question in the chat box. I kindly request you all the participants to keep your microphone off, muted during the talk, and also if possible, then please turn on your video cameras so that our session will be more interactive. So now, to formally begin the program, I would respectfully like to request Dr. Arun Kumar Yadav ji to deliver a welcome address.
Thank you, Venerable. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Respected Venerable Bhikkhu Sangha, Bhikkhuni Sangha, and the speaker of today's program, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is director of Tibet House, and other teachers from my university and from other university of India. I'm seeing that so many person they joined from different universities and different states. My research scholar and other research scholars and distinguished guests today present on this occasion. So I, on the behalf of Pali and Buddhist Studies Department, I welcome all of you, all the participants, and especially our guest speaker, today's guest speaker, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul La, for accepting our invitation. When I requested him, I think in few hours or maybe in one day, after getting my email, he responded and accepted our invitation. So I'm very grateful that a leader, a scholar like you accepted my invitation in a very short notice and agreed to deliver such a wonderful lecture. Because according to me, and we discussed each other, that this topic is very essential and good for basically student of our department, so that they can have such type of overview of all four Buddhist schools, which are very prominent. So it was my idea, and we discussed together, and we finalized. So I'm very thankful to Venerable and also the Tibet House for accepting our proposal to jointly collaborate all the things and do it together. So I'm very thankful to Tibet House, and I also very thankful to today, professors, research scholar, and other guests who joined it. So in the last, I welcome all of you, and I also thankful to my research scholar from Leh and other places who have organized such a wonderful program today. So I, again, on the behalf of Pali and Buddhist Studies, I welcome all of you. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to request Ms. Dechen Chuskit, a research scholar from the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, BHU, to kindly present the biography of Venerable Geshe La to the audience.
Geshe Geshe La. A very good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome all for joining us online. And it's a pleasure to have you all here today. As many of us already know who Geshe Dorji Damdul is, but for those who may not know, allow me to share a brief introduction about his work and his contribution. Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul is currently the director of Tibet House, the culture center of His Holiness Dalai Lama, New Delhi. While being assigned with the responsibility of directorship of Tibet House, he also gives regular lectures and leads philosophical classes in Tibet House and other places as well. He travels widely within India and abroad to teach Buddhist philosophy, psychology, logic, and practice. He has also worked on several books. As assigned by the Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he visited the US in 2008 to work with Professor Paul Ekman on His Holiness the Dalai Lama's book, Ethics for New Millennium Part 2, and the book series Art of Happiness, which were jointly written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, such as The Guarded Path. He has written a number of papers for national and international conferences on topics such as the paradox of brain and mind, and the ultimate reality according to Arya Nagarjuna. He is currently in the process of writing two important books, one entitled Journey to the Paradox of Brain and Mind, and other, What Constitutes the Ultimate Reality, the Effect of Understanding the Ultimate Reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dechen. So finally, with the deep respect and joy, I would like to respectfully invite Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul to kindly deliver his lecture and enlighten us with his profound knowledge insight.
Okay, Venerable Chitanla, what is the duration of the talk?
Duration, Achilamula knows it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, first of all the bhikshus, the venerable bhikshus and bhikshunis, and Professor Arun Kumarji, and Dr. Shailendra, and the host as Professor Arunji so kindly they suggested and also they assigned research scholar Lamala, Sawan Lamala, and our moderator here, Venerable Chutanla, and Dejanla, who I know since years ago. And then I see that there are many faces, scholars, not only from BSU, but also from other institutions. I truly welcome you all, and it's a great joy for me to be with you all. So here we see that the talk that I'm asked to give is on the four Buddhist schools, the 10 systems of all the four Buddhist schools. And then also I got to know that there are students and faculties from the other departments also of BSU. And in fact, it has been many years that it has been like more than 30 years that I've been hearing about BHU, Banaras Hindu University, all these many years, perhaps before these the moderators, the research scholars who are yet to be born then. I already heard about this prestigious university many, many, many years ago. And now I'm very happy to see that young people are also being nurtured by this institution. So with this in mind, first of all, there are the few things, as Professor Arunji very clearly indicated, that we need to see to the authentic, original teachings of Buddha and the relevance of the Buddha's teachings in our day-to-day life. So having said this, say Buddhism today, we see that one is seen in the form of a Pali tradition, the Theravada Buddhism, and then the Sanskrit language-based Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, and another the Sanskrit language-based Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, and then others also, Myanmar, Thailand, Burma, and so forth. We see that there are the different traditions, but we finally keep in mind that they're all to be seen as the teaching of the same teacher. They're all to be seen as the teachings of the same teacher. And then what for the Buddha appeared on this planet Earth. So with this in mind, given that this is my first time giving such a talk to the faculties and the students of the Banaras Hindu University, and also I came to learn that there are other the faculties and students from other departments also. So therefore, I see that to give a little bit of the historical account, what is teaching, that would be very helpful. So we see that the Buddha under the Bodhi tree as a Prince Siddhartha, having attained Buddhahood, he remained silent for 49 days. And yes, at the request of King Indra, Brahma, Indra, Buddha decided to give the teachings. But the Buddha uttered one verse in Tibetan. In English, profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar of Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. So the kings of God and goddesses, Indra, Brahma, they made more requests to the Buddha, please don't remain silent, please turn the wheel of Dharma. And the Indra offered the conch, symbolic of requesting Buddha to blow the conch of the Dharma, to blow the conch of the wisdom, that the darkness of ignorance in the minds of sentient beings is dispelled. And Brahma offered the wheel, symbolic of requesting the Buddha to please turn the wheel of Dharma. So with this, then the Buddha finally assented to the request and he headed towards Varanasi. So there, the 3 turnings for the wheel of Dharma happened. 3 turnings. The first turning happened in Varanasi, second turning happened in Rajgir, and the third turning the wheel of Dharma happened in Vaishali. So of course, all the Buddha teaching taught, like 84,000 teachings were given in different places. But the overall speaking, all the 84,000 teachings can be subsumed under these 3 categories known as the 3 turns wheel of Dharma. So then we also need to keep in mind that the Buddha's biography, and they can be seen on 2 levels. 2 levels. One which is in line with how the historians would understand the biography of the Buddha. This one, and the other one which is the actual biography. Actual biography meaning that which involves all the supernatural powers of the Buddha and his exposure to Buddha's exposure to the teachings of the earlier Buddhas. So all these incorporated together, they form the real biography, which can be very complex. But the one which is readily available for all the people, common people, that is known as the common biography in accordance with the historians. So the way the historians understand it was that the Buddha, after having become Buddha, and then they started to give teachings and 3 turns wheel of Dharma, and then towards the end of the Buddha's life, according to historical account, like 81 years around that time, then the Buddha, they handed over or identified Mahakashyapa as the first heir of the Buddha, while many of the people thought that it was going to be the Arahat, the Buddha's chief attendant in Kungawa, Ananda. But Ananda was not appointed as the first heir. First heir was assigned to the Mahakashyapa. So with this, then from there, then the 18 branches of the Buddhist teachings, in a loose sense, what is known as the 18 divisions of the Vaibhashika tradition, gradually came into being, not at one place, not in one time, but in different times, at different places, and with different teachers. Then the Buddhist teachings came to be divided, not really as they divided, but the 18 denominations came into being. And out of these 18 denominations, today what we call as the 3 main factions are left: Theravada, Dharmagupta, and then Mul Sarvastivada tradition. These 3 traditions are left, with respect to the Pradimoksha and teachings. Three main traditions are left today. Let me repeat it. The Theravada tradition, Dharmagupta tradition, and Mool Sarvastivada tradition. These two traditions are left. Theravada tradition, as you can see, predominantly what you find, the one that you find in Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and many parts of Korea, many parts of the Vietnam, and so forth. And the Dharmagupta tradition, which the spread from Nalanda, it went to China, and then from China to Japan, to Korea, and even Vietnam. It went to different places. And Mool Sarvastivada tradition from India, it was, say, taken to exported to Tibet, from Tibet to Mongolia, and then to all the regions across the Himalayan belt. So this is a brief, they say, the reality, historical account of this. And yes, according to the historical account, Buddha is seen as a more like very evolved, extremely compassionate, and very intelligent, and we call the Tathagata Garbha, Tathagata, the one who has attained seen the reality, ultimate reality, and who became the Bhagavan, the Buddha. But there are many discussions as to how you perceive this Buddha by the Vaibhashika tradition and by the Madhyamaka tradition. So you see different the points of view of these traditions, and I may not go through all these things. And during the questions session, as I think it was Hamala, or Hamala, or yes, Hamala, who said that the 1.5 hours for the talk, and then half an hour for question answers. I'll be very happy. Whatever questions that we might have, I'll be happy to entertain them. Okay, with this in mind, now we're talking about the 4 tenet systems of the Buddhist schools. And before that, what is so important for us to know is that it was, I think, about like how many years, 4 or 5 years ago, that when I was in Singapore, there was one Singaporean professor who asked me one serious question. And he asked me, so Singaporeans, usually, you know that they are extremely sensitive to what to say to other people, and very gentle. And this professor, I was expecting the same thing, and this professor was so direct. And he asked me one question. He said that, you are a Buddhist? I said, yes. And he said that you're a born Buddhist? I said, yes. And he said, just imagine, if you're not born Buddhist, do you think that you are still going to be Buddhist? I told him that this is a very serious question. This is a very serious question. It must be addressed by all the people, because majority of the conflicts happening in the name of religion. Oh, I'm Buddhist. Oh, I'm Hindu. I'm Muslim. I'm Jain. I'm Christian. I'm Jew. I'm Baha'i. I'm Zoroastrianism, and so forth. This is majority. These conflicts happen because they identify themselves with a specific religion. How? By birth. They don't know what this religion is. They don't know what it is. And then this chauvinism, that my religion is the best. That came into being. So these conflicts are generally happening when the people don't really understood the true philosophy of the great teachers. For example, like I would say, Lord Jesus Christ, he's an amazing teacher. If you truly see somebody, for example, like from my point of view, I may be so audacious to speak about the Pope Leo XIV, who is the current Pope, newly appointed Pope. I may be so audacious, but I would say that from my assessment of the current Pope, I see that he's a very, very genuine follower of Jesus Christ. any genuine follower of Jesus Christ will not create any problem with other religions. And I see him in the image of that. So likewise, any genuine follower of any religion, be it Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, or the Jews, whatever religion, Baha'i, or the Parsis, whatever the Zoroastrianism, whatever religion that you're following, if one truly understands the philosophy of your teacher, the founder, there's no basis for conflicts. There's no basis for conflicts. Whereas these conflicts are happening when the people don't understand the real philosophy, the real thought processes of that particular teacher. So having said this, the question to us who are studying Buddhist philosophy, who believe in the Buddhist teachings, who study Buddhist philosophy, who are part of the Buddhist studies, the Pali and Buddhist studies department, the question to us is, what's the purpose of life? If you don't know what's the purpose of life, then what religion that you're following, what system that you're following, so what discipline that you're following, what career that you're following, it's all going to be just totally of the meaningless, defeated. So what's the purpose of life? With this in mind, the purpose of life, I'm sure that all of you will agree with me, that purpose of life, I remember 2008, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama was invited to Delhi University to give a public address. And at the end of the address, there was a young girl who stood up to ask a question to His Holiness. Your Holiness, what is the purpose of life? And His Holiness, without second thought, said that we live on hope and we hope for happiness. Therefore, the purpose of life is a genuine happiness. Genuine happiness is the purpose of life, is what His Holiness said. So from this, we all acknowledge, for example, the COVID-19 taught us nobody wants to have the COVID-19. Everybody was scared of COVID-19. Whether you accept the COVID vaccine or not, that's a different story. But everybody was scared. Even to hear that your neighbor contracted COVID-19, you're already panicking. So much of fear, uncertainty. So that is the indication. This is the indicative of our genuine inner aspiration, aspiration to run away from the fears, run away from miseries, and to embrace as maximum happiness as possible. So with this in mind, as His Holiness indicated, the genuine happiness is the purpose of life. The next question is, how to attain this genuine happiness? This next question. For this, the genuine happiness, we can talk over on two levels. One, in a very mundane sense, and the other on a deeper sense. On a mundane sense, I say we live for like 60, say some people live for 70 years, some people live for 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, and then 100 cross 100. So we see that this is what we call as one life. So within this life, try to lead the most meaningful life, meaning that, okay, what the ordinary people will consider as, okay, this is a very decent life. This very decent life. Say you have enough to eat, and you have enough to wear, you have a shelter, and you have family members to support you, and you don't create problem in the world, and you are cognitively, you are quite well informed, you're well read. So if this is who you are, we see that, oh, this person led a decent life. Whereas following the Buddhist teachings, you're looking for a deeper meaning. What is a deeper meaning or deeper genuine happiness? What is that? So we come to know that, as the Buddha indicated, that the all phenomena are the nature of your mind. All phenomena are preceded. The mind precedes all phenomena. Let me repeat it. In Dhammavata, the mind precedes all phenomena. If it's the impure mind, one speaks or acts, misery will follow like a cart following the ox. If it's a pure mind, or again, the second verse says, the mind is the chief and precedes them all phenomena. If with a pure mind one acts or speaks, happiness will follow like the shadow that follows the person. So with this, the Buddha finally, following the Buddha, able to cross beyond the mundane, ordinary, what we call a successful life, then we see that the mind is the chief. So the mind decides. And this mind is just so important for us. This mind, when we die, is it the end of the mind? This is a serious question. This is a very serious question, and where in line with the Buddhist teachings, this is not the end of your mind. The mind does not have an end. Mind is impermanent, anicca, but the mind does not have an end. Anicca doesn't mean that it will come to an end. So it can be eternally lasting, but then it has the element of momentariness. For example, I lived for the last 50 years. Last 50 years, my mind existed. I existed. But so my mind exists all these 50 years. But this mind had never been permanently sitting. It's been constantly changed all the time. As a little boy, I did not know anything about quantum mechanics. Then as a teenager, I learned about quantum mechanics, relativity theory, and so forth. And then the moment I was about to finish my studies of quantum mechanics, I was thinking of becoming a physicist. My mind changed. And then after completing my studies, the high school, instead of joining physics, I joined the philosophy. My mind changed. So my mind is constantly changing, but my mind existed all along. So my mind exists all along, yet it is impermanent. So this is something that we need to remember. The next question. So just as the last 50 years, the mind never terminated, although the mind is momentarily changing in the nature of the anicca, but at the time of death, will it continue or it'll terminate? This is a serious question. So this takes us to the concept of what is known as rebirth. Next slide. Rebirth. So for this rebirth, how to establish this? This is a very serious question, particularly in today's era, for the reason that today, majority of the people, they are introduced to the modern science, neuroscience. So there, because they're exposed to more neuroscience, people are trained in the reductionist, to follow the reductionist approach of reducing the mental activities to the neural correlates. So they are reducing everything, all the mental functions to the brain. If that is the case, then when the brain terminates, the mind has to be terminated. This is a very serious question. And I would say that particularly Professor Arunji and your research scholars, this will be another very serious area where we need to do research. How can we prove that there is a mind which exists as different from the brain? After the death, there is a mind traveling to the next life. How can we prove that? So this is something which is a very serious matter, given that my job today is to speak on the tenet systems of the 4 different schools. So I would not really go into depth into this topic about the mind and the brain relationship. But what I'm saying is that this is how the mind can exist forever, but momentarily changing is the nature of the anicca. Okay, so having said this, if the mind is the one which travels to the next life, then the purpose of mind, the purpose of the alive should be expanded, not just to this life, but expanded to the next life as well. Then the purpose is what? That finally we see that, say for example, today I have let's say that when I was 5 years old, I'm sure each one of us, we have our own stories to share. When at 5 years old, I lost my mother, I shed my tears. I shed tears. And then they say, in between, I lost many of my near and dear ones, I shed tears. Then I myself went through different pains, I shed tears. Each one of us, we shed tears. Okay, raise hands, those who shed tears in life. At least once, those who shed tears in life. Okay, we all shed tears. We all shed tears. Then the Buddha is looking for why the Buddha left the palace. Why the Buddha left the palace? It's not because that, oh, look at these people, they don't have breakfast. Oh, look at these people, they don't have clothes. Buddha is looking for something deeper than that. Acharya Dignaga in 6th century AD, when he was decomposing his book on Buddhist logic and epistemology, the word of salutation to the Buddha, these 2 lines is so important. In Tibetan, Semar Gyurba, Dola Penshaba, Tumba Deshe Gyurba Chasene, Togeng and Dola Semar Gyurba, Swishin Shebar Chow. But it means that in English, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, protector, to you are my prostrations. This is the real biography of the Buddha. So here, the Buddha, not to be seen as a god, is seen as the best of the guide to lead us from the state of darkness, state of misery, state of tears, to a state of ultimate happiness, to a state of total freedom from miseries, where all your tears stop. So this is how this Prince Siddhartha, he became. So how he became, he transformed. It's not like that he was born as a reliable guide, but he transformed through training. He was transformed. We also can transform. If that is the case, then the next is that how he's transformed. So then his biography was shared. Initially, he was motivated by altruism. Altruism. What is he mean by that? Compassion, universal compassion. What kind of compassion? Oh, look at my sister, and he's a physical problem. Oh, look at my brother, he's a physical problem. No, not like that. That all the beings have problem. Look at the wars happening among the different kingdoms. Look at the injustices happening in the kingdom. Look at the poverty. Look at the illiteracy. The whole world is suffering. I must look for a solution to solve these miseries. So this is the meaning of motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. This is the motivation. It's a big motivation. A motivation to stop all the tears of all the beings. It's not just to get the breakfast for today, or to avoid this cold. Now the winter is cold coming. And the Varanasi, I know, it's going to be terrible cold. Delhi is going to be terrible cold, and again you need a heating system. And Prince Siddhartha, okay, how to give distribute blankets to the people. This is a temporary solution. But the Prince Siddhartha was looking for the ultimate solution, where nobody has to look for, look for solutions, that they all attain the ultimate, the aspiration, the final meaning of the life, final purpose of life, final genuine happiness. Ultimate genuine happiness. What is that? Where all the tears should be stopped and your happiness expands to infinity. This next question. So with this in mind, the question arises that if this is what is meant by the temporary genuine happiness and ultimate genuine happiness. Temporary genuine happiness meaning that, okay, you have a family, you have something to eat, you're well educated, and you say you have good the environment. This is what we call as a temporary or adventitious genuine happiness. But the ultimate genuine happiness, which Surendra is referring to, is where all your tears stop and your happiness expands to infinity. Who is that? Who wants that? Buddhists or non-Buddhists? Everybody wants that. Males or females? Everybody wants that. It's because of this that the Buddha said that everyone is equal. Now the next question is that if you squeeze a handful of sand versus if you squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds, which of the two will give rise to oil? Squeeze a handful of sand, no oil comes out. Here, squeeze a handful of sand, the sunflower seeds, oil does come out. So where lies the difference? Sunflower seeds have the potential to give rise to oil, and sand does not have the potential to give rise to oil. So likewise, do we have the potential to stop all the tears of samsara? Do we have the potential to feel the happiness to the infinity? Answer is yes. This is known as Tathagata Garbha. This is known as Tathagata Garbha. It's because of this acknowledgement, the Buddha's acknowledgement of the existence of this potential, Tathagata Garbha, in the minds of all the beings, boys, girls, young, old, or the high, low, high caste, low caste, everybody has this. Because of this confidence, the Buddha was fully against any form of discrimination. Gender discrimination, caste discrimination, any discrimination, Buddha's against, because he knows that at the core, everybody has the same potential. So the Buddha, what's the difference between the Buddha and the ordinary people like us? To know this, my question to you is, what is the difference between the 1 kg diamond in the showroom, 1 kg diamond in the ditch? What's the difference? What's the difference? The difference is that one in the ditch, somebody has to pick this up, clean this, put some perfumes, and put it in the showroom. It becomes showroom diamond. So the Buddhas are like the diamond in the showroom, and we, the ordinary beings, are like the diamond in the ditch. So deep inside, both are 1 kg diamond, same, but one is dirty, one is clean. So Buddha see that we also have this potential, Tathagata Garbha. Tathagata Garbha. We all have that. As such, Buddha is so confident to speak against, to fight against any form of discrimination. The next question is that how can we awaken this if this diamond, which is in which is with the dirt, when that is in dirt, the diamond inside is not visible. So how to remove this dirt so the diamond inside will become visible? So for that, the Buddha's teachings are in Nagarjuna, and the Buddha Gosha. So look at the writings, compositions. They are all the wisdoms. They're all the wisdoms. Wisdoms of the Abhidharma, wisdoms of the Sutra, wisdoms of the Vinaya. The wisdoms, sharing these wisdoms, that all forms of wisdom, that the mental dirt can be removed and the diamond will shine. And that we stop all the tears of samsara and our happiness expands to infinity. For that, the Buddha Prince Siddhartha became enlightened under the Bodhi tree. After having become enlightened, Prince Siddhartha declined to give teachings, declined to share the wisdom. This is a very serious question. Why Prince Siddhartha remained silent for 49 days? Because I hope that all of you will agree with me that Buddha identified the root of all the problems is ignorance, avidya, ignorance. To get rid of this ignorance, let's say that we all have to sit for an exam. We sit for an exam, and for exam, we need to read books, study. And in the night, there's a power cut. There's a total power cut. With a power cut, what will you do? Oh, Buddha, please remove the darkness. If you pray like this, Buddha will be very upset. What a stupid follower. Instead of praying to the Buddha, please remove the darkness, if you light a candle, Buddha will be very happy. This is a smart follower. Likewise, what the Buddha did not perform miracle to remove the darkness. What the Buddha did was, Buddha, light the lamp, help us light the lamp of the wisdom. So only this light does, just as the light, it is only through introducing light that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. Likewise, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. The next question, what is that wisdom? What is that wisdom? So the Buddha, seeing that this wisdom, that we have wisdom means, wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. Let me repeat it. What is the wisdom? To be introduced to remove the darkness of ignorance. The wisdom, by the very definition, is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. The next question, what is the reality? The reality is what the Buddha taught as the anatta, or anatman, or shunyata. That is the reality. So next, what is that reality like? That reality, the Buddha said that this is so profound that I don't see anybody who can understand this reality. So better it is for me to retire into the woods. So the Buddha said in Tibetan, which means that in English, profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, and non-composite. Such a nectar-like dharma, such a nectar-like reality is what I've discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will return to the woods. So the Buddha admitted that he prefers to remain silent in the woods, in the wilderness, in the forest. So why? Because this reality, which the wisdom is to know, that reality is so profound that he does not see anyone around to understand this. So this reality is so profound. Because this reality is so profound, although requested by Indra and Brahma, the kings of God and goddesses, but the Buddha insisted that he will have to remain silent. And finally, through more insistence, the fervent request made by Indra Brahma, finally Buddha assented to the request, and then finally the Buddha started to give the teachings. And how did he give the teachings? From this teaching, the Buddha took extremely skillful the approach, like say climbing up a terrace, climbing the roof, not just one step, just jump. No, because one step you jump is too high that you cannot jump and you will fall. Instead, the Buddha created 4 steps: 1, 2, 3, 4. So with these 4 steps, then it becomes easy to reach there. So that wisdom. So therefore, this wisdom, which the Buddha is to share with the beings, Buddha taught it in 4 different levels. And these 4 different levels came to be known as the 4 Buddhist schools. Buddhist schools. And I'm sure that all of you are already familiar with them. Just to give you some idea, the first one is Vaibhashika, number 2, Sautrantika, number 3, Chittamatra, number 4, Madhyamaka, the 4 schools. Now with the 4 schools, same, how did these 4 schools came into being? Is it that what is, oh, I'll teach you 4 schools? No, it's not like that. It's not like that. The first in the, say, the Sarnath, Sarnath, the Buddha taught the 4 Noble Truths. 4 Noble Truths. And there too, with the recognition that the 4 truths exist as truly. This is the first Noble of Dharma. So here, the 2 schools came into being. From this first teaching, 2 schools came into being. Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. The 2 schools came into being from the Buddha's sermon, the first sermon, first Noble of Dharma, Dharma Chakra. From there, the first 2 schools came into being. Then in Rajgir, the Buddha taught that nothing exists truly. From this, the 4th school came into being, which is Madhyamaka came into being. From the teachings which the Buddha gave in Rajgir, where the Buddha taught nothing exists truly. In the first turning, the Buddha taught 4 Noble Truths exist truly. From the first turn of the Buddha of Dharma, the first 2 schools came into being. The second turn of the Buddha of Dharma, the 4th school came into being. Madhyamaka school came into being, where the Buddha taught nothing exists intrinsically, nothing exists truly. Then the third turn of the Buddha of Dharma, that the one group of people, one group of the philosophers or the practitioners, they were confused. They were confused because in the first turning, the Buddha taught 4 Noble Truths exist truly. Then the second turning, the Buddha taught nothing exists truly. So these 2, on the surface level, these 2 are contradictory. So the third group of people, they were confused. And there was that during the third Buddha Dharma, which happened in Vaishali. What happened was that actually there was a huge group of the congregation where the Buddha presided over the congregation, and there were 10 great bodhisattvas of the 10 bhumi. And each of these 10 bodhisattvas, they asked one question each. And particularly the question asked by Bodhisattva Pramad Samudgata. Bodhisattva Pramad Samudgata, he asked one question. And the other bodhisattvas, they asked questions like, what is Buddha nature, the 3 natures, and so forth. But Bodhisattva Pramad Samudgata asked one question. He said, Actually, the question that he asked is on behalf of the third group of people who were confused, who later become to know that they are actually the foreign category of the Chittamatra, the third school. So Bodhisattva Paramasamudgata stood up and prostrated to the Buddha and said, Tathagata Garbha, in Varanasi, you taught the Four Noble Truths to be truly existent. In Rajgir, the Tathagata Garbha taught nothing exists truly. If these two teachings were to be kept on the surface level, these two superficial level, these two are contradictory. But the Tathagata, you are the full enlightened one. You cannot be confused. There must be a reason why these two superficially contradictory or provisionally contradictory teachings were given. And the Tathagata, the Buddha, admitted, you are right. Bodhisattva Paramasamudgata, you are right. In the first turning, I did say that the Four Noble Truths exist truly. In the second turning, I did say that nothing exists truly, and there's a reason there. So from this, I'm not going to go into this, the third part. From this, the Buddha interpreted his own first two teachings. Let me repeat it. As a response to the question asked by Bodhisattva Paramasamudgata, the Buddha interpreted his own first two teachings. In short, there's what is known as, okay, I don't want to go into too detail. It can be a little confusing, but the Buddha interpreted that, and that interpretation, Buddha's own interpretation of his own teachings, that came to be known as the third turning of Dharma in the context of the questions brought up by Bodhisattva Paramasamudgata. So who are these people who are waiting for this teaching? Chittamatrans. So from the third unit of Dharma, the third Buddhist philosophical school came into being, Chittamatra. So this is how the four schools came into being. So these four schools, if you study them well, we see that these four schools, they differ in the philosophical standpoint, the cognitive awakening. Say the first is Vaibhashika, followed by Sautrantika, followed by Chittamatra, and Madhyamaka. So, and before I jump into say what each of these philosophical Buddhist systems say, I like to just bring it to notice that as compared to the main point, what's the purpose of life? I said, His Holiness responded, the purpose of life, genuine happiness is the purpose of life. And genuine happiness can be seen on two levels, in the mundane level and in the supramundane level. Mundane level meaning according to in a secular context, where all the religious concepts, they're all taken away, and how the ordinary people in the secular world will understand it. So for them, as I said earlier, just have a decent food, decent family, good health, and well-read, and then you are considered as a genuinely happy. But more meaningful, ultimate genuine happiness refers to somebody who can awaken the hidden treasure, squeezing off the handful of sunflower seeds, all comes out. Likewise, squeezing off your Tathagata Garbha, that you are, say, the state of Arahant, state of Buddhahood, to be awakened. So for that, we need to remove the dirt. What is that dirt? Dirt of ignorance, klesha, dirt of ignorance, and from the ignorance, attachment, anger, jealousy, all these afflictions, contaminant karmas, and eventually miseries. So how to remove this dirt? Ignorance as the root, like the iceberg. On the iceberg, you build houses like 5,000 years ago. What is the Homo sapiens? 0.3 million years ago, the Homo sapiens. 0.3 million years ago, Arctic Circle, iceberg was so solid. And if somebody were to be there 0.3 million years ago to see the iceberg of the Arctic Circle, nobody will think that there's going to be a day when the global warming will happen and the icebergs will melt. Nobody thought like this. And imagine that you stack building on top of that. So iceberg is like the self-grasping ignorance. And on top of this, you build the grosser and grosser levels, inappropriate attention. In Tibetan, this is known as Sumi-jen. And then on top of that, afflictions, gross afflictions. On top of that, contaminant karmas. And then the misery is all stacked up. And then after 0.3 million years ago today, global warming, even the iceberg in the Arctic Circle starts to melt. Then everything what is stacked on top will crumble down. Likewise, when the iceberg of self-grasping ignorance, when the ignorance melts, everything what is stacked on top of this will all dissolve and your tears will stop. That's the purpose. Now, how to stop that? How to stop this? How to let this iceberg of ignorance melt? By introducing the fire of the wisdom. What is the fire of the wisdom? So this fire of the wisdom, to understand this, then the Buddha taught the 4 different schools. But keep in mind that our mind, if you study the map of the mind, we said that there are so many ways of classifying the mind. And one way of classifying the mind is that, for example, let's say that if somebody, say a person A, feels attached to the huge amount of money, person A feels attached to huge amounts of money, there is attachment. And with the attachment, then when the person cannot contain the attachment, then the person will go to stealing. The moment you steal it and the police arrest you, the person is behind bars. So behind bars is a prison. And stealing, that is a negative karma. A negative karma driven by the desire for the money, attached with the affliction. Then affliction because of the ignorance. For example, in the dream, somebody dreams of seeing a huge amount, $1 billion or $1 million there. And desire, so seeing the dream $1 million as real $1 million. That is the ignorance. It's not $1 million. It's just a dream money. It's not real money. But you see there's a real money, $1 million. That is the ignorance. That ignorance triggers him to say, this is amazing, inappropriate attention. In Tibetan, Sumi-jen Damdul. So from there, then the craving comes, attachment comes, affliction, glacier. So from this affliction, then the person actually goes to steal that. That is karma. With this karma, then the police arrest. You go behind bars. That is samsara. So samsara because of the karma of stealing. That karma of stealing because of the attachment, affliction. This affliction because of seeing that is a huge amount, is amazing. And that is because of the ignorance, seeing the dream money as real money. So how to get rid of this? How to get away from this prison? Stop stealing. How to stop stealing? Don't feel attached to the money. How to not to attach to the money? Don't see the dream money as real money. How to not to see the dream money as real money? Wake up. Wake up. Therefore, the Buddha is known as the fully awakened one. Buddha is known as the fully awakened one. Next question, how to wake up? Waking up is a big challenge. Because the Buddha remained silent for 49 days. Now, the Buddha started to give the teaching. So, it's a partial awakening. Partial awakening. First, Buddha taught us how to partially be awakened. And then to the next awakening. Then to the next awakening. And to find full awakening. So, the Buddha taught the different stages of awakening. This is known as the 4 Buddhist schools. Okay. So, having said this, what we do is that I will give you, say, unique aspects of each of the schools pertain to the philosophy, of each of the philosophical views. So first, Vaibhashika. Vaibhashika is the first step. The first step and the ground. These two are very similar. First step in the ground, this should be if it's too high, you cannot climb. So first step must be something which is similar to the ground. Ground resembles the ordinary people's thinking. Ground resembles the ordinary people's thinking. And from there, you climb a little bit, you read the Buddha's teachings, and then you just follow the Buddha's teachings verbatim. And so whatever the Four Noble Truths, okay, just identify to the suffering, to the cause of suffering, and then to the suffering can be stopped, cessation of suffering, nirodha, and then you have to follow the path, Four Noble Path. So I just follow Buddha very gently. This is more where you just follow what the Buddha taught verbatim, this one. Then the next, Sautrantika. Sautrantika becomes a little complicated. So why complicated is because we come to acknowledge that finally, our job is to wake up. The Buddha taught how to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. And waking up means, okay, how many agree with me that, let's say that, okay, I'm thirsty. I like to drink water. And you're also very thirsty. And so I say, oh, don't worry, I'll give you juice. And I like to drink, I will have this water, I'll give you juice. And then I tell you, imagine a juice. Imagine juice. And drink it. And I'll have this juice. So you will say that what you're having is real water, and what you've given us is just imaginary.
Recording in progress.
Okay, seems like it's not recorded thus far. Okay, are you sure? Okay. Okay, I may drink this water and you drink your juice. You go imaginary juice. Okay, now tell me, what is the difference between this water and the imaginary juice? What's the difference? And I'm sure that you will respond by saying that the water that I'm drinking is real from the object. There's water there. From the object is there. Object, there's water from the object. And what is your juice? My juice does not have an object. It is just mental, imaginary. Mental meaning subject. So this water is objective and your juice is subjective. Okay. And then let's say that, okay, this water, if you're very thirsty, which of the two will you feel more attached to? This water or to the imaginary juice? To which? Of course, to this water. Water is objectively real. And to the juice, you will not feel attached because it's subjectively real. It's subjective. One is subjective, one is subjective. Now, when you wake up, how does it help? Waking up means that dream. In the dream, you see let's say the dream person. Dream juice. Dream juice is subjective or objective. It's just as the imaginary juice purely subjective, even the dream juice also the subjective resonance. Dream juice also subjective resonance. Yes, subjective meaning comes from a mind. So, okay, now this is very important. Dream juice is subjective. But this water that I'm holding in the loose sense, the water that I'm holding here, this is real, this is objective. And the dream juice is subjective. Imaginary juice is subjective. Now, let's say, how many of you had a dream, very scary dream of a dream ghost chasing you? How many had such a dream? Raise hands. Dream ghost chasing you. Okay, almost all of us. Dream ghost chasing you. So now tell me, give your own answers. My question to you is that seeing the dream ghost as real ghost, seeing the dream ghost as real ghost, is it ignorance or wisdom? Is ignorance, raise hands. Seeing the dream ghost as a real ghost, this is ignorance, raise hands. Good. This is ignorance. And this ignorance happens in the dream or outside the dream. It happens in the dream, raise hands. In the sleep, raise hands. Okay. Seeing the dream ghost as a real ghost is the ignorance, and it happens in the dream, and the outcome, the result of that is the fear arises. Let me repeat it. Seeing the dream ghost as a real ghost is the ignorance, and it happens in the dream, and the outcome is that the fear arises out of that. So seeing the dream ghost as real ghost is ignorance. It happens in the dream, meaning in the sleep. Sleep is the meaning of the ignorance. So, on the contrary, seeing the dream ghost as dream ghost, as not a real ghost. Seeing the dream ghost as a dream ghost is the ignorance of wisdom, is wisdom, number one. And it happens in the dream or outside the dream. It happens outside the dream. Once in a while, people may see that you're dreaming and you're aware that you're dreaming once in a while. But otherwise, generally speaking, we see that the dream ghost as dream happens only outside when you wake up. And what's the outcome? All the fears of the dream, fears of the dream ghost dissolve. So this is the meaning of with the wisdom which you generate by waking up from the sleep of ignorance. All your tears, fears of samsara and from tears dissolve. That's the purpose. So with this in mind, the question is how to wake up. For this waking up, then the four schools, they teach the different levels of waking up. The first Vaibhashika. Vaibhashika introduces us to the Buddha's teachings. So it doesn't really teach us too much into how to wake up. It's more about the basic frameworks, what's samsara, what is nirvana. So these concepts are taught. Then the Sautrandika comes. Sautrandika says that, okay, things that we have, some are like dream. Dream meaning, some are like what a mind makes. For example, like, okay, now we're going to go into technicality. I don't have much time, so we're going to go into the technical aspects. So the many of us may not be able to follow that. It doesn't matter. But these are the strengths of the Buddha's teachings. Say, Sautrandika school comes and says that okay, look at things that we observe we encounter in this life. There are two categories. One is permanent, one is impermanent. Impermanent phenomena, they are not like dreams. They're real. They're substantially real. Permanent phenomena, they're like dreams. They are what a conceptual mind creates. What are thoughts? Imputed by thoughts. Our thoughts create this. Then you, for the first time, we never thought that there can be something what exists should always have some substantial reality. Now, for the first time, Sautrandika school officially or formally tells us that things can be, it's not that everything is objectively real, but there are some subjectively real. For example, like space, like the different entities, like its oneness, differentness, and so forth. These are all what a mind imputes. There's no substantial real there. The permanent phenomena, permanent doesn't mean something which lasts forever. Something which doesn't have a substance to undergo change. That is known as permanent. So permanent category phenomena, they come through the power of your mind. They don't come from the object. They come from the mind. So for the first time, we're introduced to some degree of subjectivity there. So we said waking up. Waking up means that what is happening in dream is subjective. So Sautrandika for the first time introduces a little bit how some of the things can be there, but a part of the mind, permanent and impermanent. Impermanent phenomena, they have nothing to do with the mind. They're all coming from the object. But the permanent phenomena or the non-composite phenomena like space, they exist by the power of your subjective mind. So subjectivity introduced. That is so precious. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that if you're serious, wanting to stop the tears of samsara, we all have the tears, we have to shed tears of samsara. For example, the children, they see the parents sick, you have to shed tears. I remember when I was a little boy, whenever I heard that my father is ill, I could not contain my tears, so painful. All these pains are coming because of the belief that things are objectively real. Now our job, if you really want to stop the tears of samsara, pains of samsara, we have to learn how to see things as objectively empty. There's nothing there objectively. Things do exist, but exist by subjective imputation. So this is what we need to learn. And Sautrandika school, this is so good to teach us that how things can possibly exist by subjective imputation, to tell us how to wake up. Although it is on a very cursory form. It's not in the full-fledged form, but yet it is very powerful. For the first time that we are shaken. hey, you are in sleep, you are in sleep mode, wake up. So the initial the push was given by South Tranda, telling us that not everything that you're seeing, observing, experiencing, they are the objective. Some of them are subjective. Next comes Chittamatra. Chittamatra says, okay, when I say Chittamatra says, it's not that Chittamatra they will say whatever they like. So all what they say is in line with the Buddha's own teachings. There's always, let's say, the source must be there with the Buddha's teachings. So Buddha at one point taught that all the three realms are your own mind. Let me repeat it. Buddha taught that all the three realms are your mind. Meaning that, like the mirror, everything what is reflected in the mirror, they're the reflections. So oftentimes we go there and we bang against the mirror, thinking that what is in the mirror is real, is externally real. So the Chittamatra will say that everything, there's nothing external there, it's purely your mind, and there's nothing externally there. Anything which is seen as external, that we think that, oh, I came from outside, now I entered the house, okay, now I'm inside the house, tomorrow morning again I have to go out for shopping, to attend the classes, outside, inside, this is all illusion. Chittamatra says everything is like reflection in the mirror. Reflection in the mirror, there's nothing inside the mirror, there's nothing outside the mirror. It's just the nature of the mirror, that's it. The mirror is like your mind, and whatever that you experience, whatever that you encounter with, so they are nothing but the nature of one's own mind. This is the nature. So, in other words, Chittamatra, what it says, everything is subjective. Everything is subjective. But when we say everything is subjective, Chittamatra says everything is subjective. Both the Madhyamakas would also say everything is subjective. Many people, many philosophers, due to their failure to study these 10 systems very systematically, they make one mistake. Because that they read books and they see Chittamatra, oh, everything's mind. And the Madhyamaka, they read the books, they say everything's mind. Oh, these two philosophies is same. This is where we make mistakes. Chittamatra philosophy and Madhyamaka philosophy, by no means they are even close. They are not close even. They're very far away. Except there's a stark contrast between these philosophical views. So Chittamatra, let me quickly share with you. But in Chittamatra says everything is subjective. Yes, for Chittamatra everything is subjective. Madhyamaka everything is subjective. But although the two use the same vocabulary, that everything is subjective, but then what they mean is very different. For example, let me give you one example. Saying, what do you understand by the word attachment? What do you understand by the word attachment? So many of you will say attachment is a desire. Is a desire. But imagine that there was a story of the two monks, the monk teacher and the monk student. And the monk student is from the current digital world, era of the digital world. And monk teacher was from the old school, no digital world, no email, nothing. And the monk student, because he is from the digital world, everybody's from the email, WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, and so forth. So this young monk wants to double check if the monks are allowed to use email. So he went to the teacher and asked, sir, are the monks allowed to use emails? And the sir has no idea. The senior monk, the teacher, has no idea because he's from the old school. He just doesn't have any idea about the email, Snapchat, and the Instagram, WhatsApp. He has no idea these things. So the safe answer that he can give is that, okay, you can use the emails as long as there's no attachment. Okay, how many use emails without attachment? Raise hands. Deshen? Do you use emails with attachment, without attachment? Unmute. Okay. Okay. So how many of you use emails with attachment? Raise hands. So what about this poor young monk? Should he use emails with attachment, without attachment? Of course, he has to use it with attachments. But the teacher said that as long as you have no attachment, you can use it. So here it's the same word, meaning is very different. What the teacher mean is that as long as you have no desire, you have no desire. Whereas in the computer science, the word attachment is the file to be attached. It's the same word, meaning is different. Likewise, both the schools, Chittamatra, Madhyamaka, they say everything is subjective. Word is same, meaning is very different. Many people, many scholars, they confuse between these two philosophical schools, saying that these two schools are the same. I met with some very respected scholars, very senior respected scholars, who said that, oh, Chittamatra and Madhyamaka school, these two philosopher-wise is the same. They accept both, everything is subjective. It is their failure to distinguish, to see the nuances between what they mean. The reference is very different. The word is the same, the reference is very different. For example, orange color and orange fruit is very different. Both are orange. Doesn't mean there's some the same day we say orange color is also orange fruit. No, it's the same word with different meanings. Now, what is the difference in the meaning of the subjective as per Chittamatra and as per Madhyamaka? So I'll give you some simple examples. First, Chittamatra. For Chittamatra, for them, everything is the nature of mind. For them, not that everything is projection of the mind. Projection of the mind and the nature of mind, these two are different. For Chittamatra, everything is the nature of mind, but not everything is projection of mind. So subjective, everything is subjective can be understood as everything to the nature of mind, or everything is the projection of mind. These two are very different. For Chittamatra, subjective means everything's subjective means everything's nature of mind. For Madhyamaka, everything's subjective means everything's projection of one's mind, not the nature of one's mind. Okay. Now, what is the difference between nature of the mind and the projection of my mind, projection of one's mind? First, the nature of one's mind. Let's say the mirror. Mirror. Let's say that. Okay. Let's say this glass of water. And your mind is seeing the glass of water. Your mind is seeing this. So, say the glass of water and your mind, you see a space gap. Based on this space gap, we see that this glass of water is external. So Chittamatra would say that this is illusion. What you say is external, this is illusion. There's no space gap. It is like the mirror, your mind is mirror, and the glass of water as the reflection in the mirror. Reflection and the mirror, there's no space gap. Reflection and the mirror, there's no space gap, it's together. So this is the main of the nature of the mind. So indicating there's no externality. It's just these two are the same nature. But don't say that the mirror is the glass of water is the mirror. Don't say that, because mirror in the reflection. Mirror is very steady and stable. Reflection changes every time. The moment you remove the flower, the reflection of flower disappears. The moment you bring up the table, the reflection of table comes. Reflection changes, but the mirror is very stable. So the mirror is like your mind, which is very stable, and everything else can come, go, come, go, come, go. But the mind, which is like the mirror, is stable. But it's stable doesn't mean it's permanent. It's not permanent. It's still impermanent. Okay. So this is how Chittamatra understands everything that you see around as outside, inside. There's nothing really outside. They're all the nature of one's own mind. And Chittamatra's philosophy is extremely profound. And it'll be good. I personally would say that if you want to tell me, what is your philosophy? If this is what you ask me, I would say that in the first place, of course, I may not tell you what my real philosophy is, but what I will tell you is that my approach is not rigid, simply because that I follow the Mahayana tradition, or I follow the Tibetan Buddhism. So therefore, my tradition is Tibetan Buddhism. No, if this is my mindset, I'm already going the wrong direction, because You're blinded to see the reality. I'm already biased. I'm already biased. Simply because I'm born in the Tibetan tradition. If I say, oh, my philosophy is the Tibetan tradition, this is my tradition. This is not the real Buddhist teachings. What's the real Buddhist teachings? The biases should not be there to see the reality. We are trying to see the reality because the ignorance is the ignorance to be eradicated. To eradicate this, we need to have the wisdom, and wisdom is the one which sees the reality. So to see the reality, biases must be removed. It was 2003 when I was in Cambridge University, and I used to meet lots of professors, particularly professors of physics. And I was so keen on physics since my childhood, like class 9, 10, 11, 12, CBSE, 4 years, I was thinking of becoming a physicist. And by the way, okay, this is a little bit digression. And then when I was in Cambridge, I used to meet with many of the physics professors to have discussions with them. Then there was one physics professor who was really, really, really quite eccentric, and quite audacious. So what he said is that in this world, only physics is education. Why I'm sharing this is because to tell us that we should not be biased. We must get rid of the biases. We must get rid of the biases. So he told me that in this world, only physics is education. And I asked, if that is true, then many of us were not from physics, we're not from education background. Then I asked him why. Then he said that because only physics allows you to have critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. Then I told him, okay, listen what the Buddha has to say. Then I studied Buddha in Tibetan. In English, the bhikshus and the wise people, just as a goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them to practice, not simply because you respect me. Then this physicist, he remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. So this should be the approach of the Buddha. This should be the approach of the Buddha. So what I'm saying is that with this mind, so finally, that they say the Chittamata philosophy is so profound, it's amazingly profound, and we must get the understanding, not just intellectual knowledge, but the understanding to feel that things are really nature of one's mind. There's nothing really there's external. And then you will continue to see some loopholes. To fill up the loopholes, then you will require the Madhyamika philosophy. Till you get the Madhyamika philosophy, you cannot fill up those or remove these loopholes that otherwise left by the Chittamata philosophy. Now let's move to the Madhyamika philosophy. With the Madhyamika philosophy, again, everything is subjective. Everything is subjective. Here, the subject doesn't mean everything is the nature of the mind. Instead, everything is a projection of one's mind. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Projection of one's mind. Let's say, how many of you have watched a movie in a movie theater? Raise hands. How many of you have watched a movie in a movie theater? Very good. Okay, let's say that you are watching a movie here. Movie here. Screen is here. Where is the movie coming from? Where is the movie coming from? From the projector. Where is the projector? Projector is behind you. Projector is behind you. Okay. So the word projector means movie is not on the projector, it's on the screen. Say, this is your projector, this is the projector, and movie is here, screen is here. So the projector projects the movie, and the movie is on the screen. Moves on the screen, but projected by the projector. So the projector and the screen, there's a space gap. You agree with me? Projector and the screen, there's a space gap. You agree? That space gap is known as externality. So Madhyamaka, particularly Prasanga Madhyamaka, accepts externality. At the same time, this movie is not coming from the screen. It's coming from the projector. It's coming from the projector. How do we know that? The moment the projector stops, the movie on the screen stops. How many agree with me? Raise hands. The moment the projector stops, the movie on the screen stops, which means the movie is on the screen, but not from the screen. It's from the projector. So the movie is projected by the projector. Projected is not nature of the projector. It's projected by the projector. So likewise, the Buddha taught that everything is a projection of one's own mind, where externality is acceptable. It's not negated. So this is the Madhyamika philosophy. Now with this, let me conclude by saying that what's the benefit of understanding the Madhyamika philosophy? Finally, as I began this talk by saying, Buddha remained silent, and finally Buddha assented to give the teachings in four steps: Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, Madhyamaka. So when you reach that level, then which means that you have understood the Buddha's ultimate reality full. Yes, if you understand the ultimate reality full, what's the benefit? What's the benefit? Okay, we talk about the three lakshana. Okay, first, anicca. All composite things are impermanent. Number two, dukkha. All contaminated things are suffering nature, dukkha nature. Number three, anatta. Everything is the nature of anatta or emptiness, shunyata. This is it. So, finally, understanding these three natures, three lakshana. If you understand these three, what's the benefit? Okay, let's see that how many of you have used these trainers in your life? How many of you have used these trainers in your life? Okay, good. Now, what is the purpose of the twist trainer? Twist trainer, I hope that you'll agree with me. The purpose of the twist trainer is twofold. One, to stop all the non-drinkable tea leaves and to let freely flow the drinkable tea. Let me repeat it. The job of the twist trainer is stop all the non-drinkable tea leaves and let freely flow the drinkable the tea. That is the purpose of the twist trainer. Likewise, understanding of anatta, understanding of shunyata. What's the purpose of that? Purpose of that is to stop all the undesirable experiences, dukkha, undesirable experiences of the negative karmas, klesha, to stop all these anger, attachment, jealousy, to stop all these things. When stopping of this, all the tears will stop. This is what the Buddha taught as the transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Nibbana, nirvana in Sanskrit. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. This is what we attain by stopping all the negative emotions, afflictions, that your tears will stop, all the pains will stop. And then to let freely flow the virtuous mind, compassion, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, all the virtues to flow freely. That is the understanding of the pratit samutpat. Emptiness, it stops all the shunyata and the anatta. Understand this? Stops all the undesirable things, your tears, and understanding pratit samutpat will let your virtues flow, thrive so naturally and beautifully, and on a Tathagata Garbha inside will manifest fully. That is a true nature. So with this wisdom of the anatta and pratit samutpat, this wisdom will carry to the ignorance. Once the ignorance is removed, the Tathagata Garbha inside, the diamond of Tathagata Garbha, all the stains removed. Then the Tathagata Garbha manifests fully, like the light trapped in a vase. You break the vase, and the light inside will just, you don't put any effort to pull the light. The light will automatically spread across the entire room. Likewise, you smash the metal dirt, the mental pollutants, afflictions, klesha, ignorance, and the mental dirt. Break them, remove them completely, and the light inside, the Tathagata Garba, will manifest fully. That's the time, not only that you are freed from the darkness, your pains are stopped, your light can help others also to shine more lights, to help other beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mute her.
Yes. Namaste. Just one question. In the Chidamatrika, is there any concept of Rupa, as in the Mahabhutas, etc.?
Okay, this is a good question. Thank you so much. In Chittamatra, do they accept the concept of Rupa, physical form? This is a good question. In fact, I would highly suggest Sabna to read incredibly, number one, the text composed by Acharya Chandragirti, Madhyamaka Avatara. In fact, the Ilhamullah, the coordinator, she's well aware of this. She's studying this text at the moment. The text is Acharya Chandragirti, this text, Madhyamaka Avatara, commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa. Acharya Chandragirti, 7th century AD, and Lama Tsongkhapa, 14th century AD. So in the commentary, all these discussions were brought up, but in Chittamatra, they accept physical form, Rupa. Do they accept Rupa or not? So, say, generally speaking, what I'll share with you all is that what is a good philosophy? Good philosophy, some people, for example, like some of the Western thinkers, they go to the extreme. For example, like David Hume. Sometimes he can go to the extreme. While he's a brilliant thinker, sometimes he can go to the extreme. And so what is good philosophy? Good philosophy is where you can go deep into the conceptual, understanding. At the same time, conform to the functional world as much as possible. The two things must be there. You can go deep and deep to really create a sense of awe in the minds of the people. At the same time, not contradicting, but the being in compliance with the functional world. That is a good philosophy. So therefore, Chittamatra, the good Chittamatran philosophers, for sure, like Acharya Acharya Dharmakirti, Acharya Dignaga, Acharya Vasubandhu, we can classify them as Chittamatra philosophers. For them, for sure, Rupa is there, because we talk about the Nam and Rupa, 12 links of dependent origination. This is something very standard teaching of the Buddha, accepted by all the philosophical schools. Nam and Rupa. First, the avidya, ignorance. Number 2, the karma. And number 3, the consciousness. And then number 4, Nam and Rupa, name and form. So name and form, the physical form is there. So we cannot really deny the Buddha's teachings, which the Buddha very clearly indicated, name and form, Nam and Rupa. So the real profound Chittamatra philosophers, they would accept Rupa. But there are some, because that they see, if everything's reflection, of the mind, then there's nothing there as a Rupa. Rupa means something to be external, real. So Chittamatra, genuine Chittamatra should accept Rupa. Yeah. Thank you. Your question is so good, Samnat. Next question.
Yeah. As you say that the all roots of Buddhist philosophy, therefore the same root from the Buddha. but we see that the different scholars uh, criticize each other. What is the reason behind it?
This is a good question. Thank you, Pravesh. Thank you so much. This is a good question. Okay, so what we say is that even in one family, people fight. Even in one family. And the Buddha, for example, say you think of yourself, Pravesh. I am sure in your family fights are happening. And your brother, your father, and your uncle, they once upon a time in one family. Now they must be fighting. And if you're not fighting, you're very good. In the court cases, majority of the court cases are family court cases, fights among the family. You know, okay? It doesn't mean that all the families there are horrible. No, good, very decent families are there. Likewise, within the Buddha's own followers, there are many decent followers and there are undecent followers also. Indecent followers, they fight. Good followers, they never fight, they bring together. For example, the Professor Arunji brought me to talk. He didn't say, hey, you are Tibetan, get out. And say, Arun, get out. No, we are together. We are together. So people are fighting simply because they are fighting doesn't mean that Buddhists are fighting, right? So keep in mind that. So we need to really, for example, like what Professor Arunji is doing, to bring everybody together. What Tibet House is doing, bringing everybody, Buddhists, non-Buddhists, scientists, everybody together, young people together. Pravesh, your job is to encourage youngsters. Look, there's a Professor Arunji who's encouraging the young people, like the research scholars, like Alhamdulillah, Dechanla, Venerable Chudenla. They're encouraging. So we need to come together. So if you see, Pravesh, in future, if you do find people fighting, Buddhists fighting, tell them, hey, don't be childish. Learn from these great, teachers like Professor Arun. Learn how to come together. No time to fight. If you fight, the Buddha will be very sad. What you do should make the Buddha happy. If you're a Buddhist, then you should make the Buddha happy. Buddha will be most happy, mother will be most happy if the brothers, sisters, or the children, they're all coming together. If they're fighting, the mother will be very sad. They share this wisdom with other people. Thank you, Pravesh. Thank you. Okay, so in the first place, the Buddhism is it a religion? So the point is that same, technically speaking, and in a more loose sense. Technically speaking, religion has connotation of something like relikora, something like this, where it's a connotation of communion with the God, communion with the God. This is the meaning of religion. The original, etymologically speaking, it has that connotation, communion with the God. In that sense, Buddhism is not religion. But, say for example, the same word can be understood in different meaning. For the attachment, the word attachment in the context of the emotion is a desire. In the context of computer science, it is just a file to be attached. It's the same word to be understood in different meanings. Likewise, the same word religion, how it is strictly understood etymologically speaking, and how that is understood in the conventional world. In the conventional world, yes, it's a religion. There's nothing wrong in it, number one. Now, is relevance, no relevance? Buddhist relevance is increasing. It is not declining. Buddhist religion, the relevance is increasing. Look at the West. The West, where the modern science is at the peak. They're picking up Buddhism, they're picking up Buddhism like picking up, like the hotcakes. Everywhere is spreading everywhere in the West. So it's not losing the relevance. If you think that this is what is happening, it may be in a place where people don't really understand the Buddhist philosophy. people don't understand Buddhist philosophy well, then for them it doesn't make any sense. For example, like for a small child, if you bring, okay, parents says that a small child age 5, okay, I will invest money for a PhD program. It doesn't make any sense. Better to give a chocolate for the child of 5 years old. There's no capacity to understand what's a PhD. Give the chocolate is better. So likewise, so those people who, for them, relevance simply means making money. This is what they say as well. These are small children. But those people who are smart, who are already tired by the material development, they will turn to Buddhism. That is a greatness. This is relevance. Today, the relevance is increasing, is not declining. Next question. Okay, this is a good question. Thank you so much. This is more coming from the historical account. Thank you so much. 18 Nikayas and the four schools. How do we match the two? This is a very good question. I would say that if somebody who has a very open mind can do research on this, that would be amazing. Okay, just for information, 18 Nikayas, what I call as the 18 Vaibhashika subdivisions, 18 Vaibhashika subdivisions, and the four schools. So 18 Vaibhashika subdivisions with respect to the philosophical views all fall under the category of the Vaibhashika tradition. All fall under the category of the Vaibhashika tradition. So therefore, it is in a way, on one hand, 18 is a huge number. Four schools, 4 is so less number. But within the 4, Vaibhashika further divided into 18. And as I said earlier, these 18 Nikayas, they do not really evolve simultaneously. They evolve gradually in time with different teachers, different times, and different places. So these are the 18 Nikayas. They're all following the same basic system, is just the same. Basic system, and today what is left is only 3 left. 2 of the 18, only 3 are left. One is Theravada, and the other one is Dharmagupta. Number 3 is Mool Sarvasdevada. 3 are left. Thank you. Okay. So this is a good question. This is a good question. Thank you. Thank you. So it is like saying that a rich man is there and he used all his wealth to feed 100 children with food on the one hand, and on the other hand, another possibility would be use all the wealth to give education to one child to become the next Dalai Lama. So with the money that he has, he can feed 100 people. But if you can make one person the next Dalai Lama, then he can protect the millions of people. He can protect millions of people. This is known as the wisdom. So therefore, it requires wisdom. It requires wisdom to see what is more beneficial. Some can be short-term great benefit, and some can be long-term great benefit, short-term no benefit. So those people who can see far away in time and space, these are the wise people. Thank you. Okay, this is again a very good question. Thank you. How can mindfulness practice be introduced in the modern education so that the very hectic lifestyle, the people with hectic lifestyle, they can be benefited? So hectic lifestyle, what do you mean by that? It means that time spent, the time that you have is so less, and there are so many things to be done. So for that, you require what is known as efficacy or efficiency. Efficiency, which means you can do a lot of things within a short period of time. This is known as efficiency. For the efficiency, say when you're able to learn faster, when you're able to learn more in a shorter period of time, closer towards the exam, or when the further away from the exam, when do you learn more? When do you learn more? When do you learn more effectively? When? Closer to his exam. Because, okay, how many agree with me in your hands? Closer to his exam, you can learn more. Okay, more effectively. Why? Because a sense of urgency comes. A sense of urgency. How the sense of urgency helps you to learn more? Because the sense of urgency gives you focus, attention, focus attention. Focus attention makes you to learn fast and effectively. So therefore, mindfulness practice will help us to get a focus attention. With a focus attention, then you can do things very effectively within a short period of time. So say the busy life, busy schedule, but you can be very efficient provided you spend minimum like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day to do a very genuine or very authentic single-pointed mindfulness with a proper tradition. You cannot just sit like close the eyes. This won't help. It must be done through a proper instruction. Thank you. Okay, this is a good question. The 18 schools, for sure, in the Pali tradition, the Pali canons, you will find that. But in the Sanskrit tradition, which is, say, in the Tibetan tradition, we do have the text which talks about the different the distinctions of the 18 Nikayas. They're all there. And the 4 schools, this is professionally being explained in many texts in the Tibetan books, particularly the one that I use so often is known as The Precious Garland by Venerable Kunjo Jigme Wangpo. Venerable Kunjo Jigme Wangpo, which Alhamdulillah, the moderator, she will help you to identify what that text is. And I think that there's another one, Metri Kriya.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is like Geshe. I'm Sri Lankan monk from Singapore. No? So my question is in the beginning of the lecture you mentioned someone requested to Buddha to preach Dhamma like Indra and Brahma. I know there's information in Pali Canon. Are there any specific informations in Tibetan Buddhism?
Yes, of course. This information there. Usually they say there are many, there's so much information which are heard, but they don't see in the sources, texts, which are heard and also saw in the text. Particularly when I share those things which can be based in the text. Because when I share something, then people ask me, where did it come from? So I have to identify the sources. So it is there. It is there in the text, yes. Yes, of course, more questions. More questions better. Okay, good question. Thank you. Okay, I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama, so His Holiness said one thing, look at your own fingers, they're not safe. This is very short, and they're longer, very short. When they all the fingers of one person, still they differ in size. So therefore, all religions becoming same is not beautiful, because if you have a garden with the same flower all the time, this is not beautiful garden. Garden means there should be varieties of flowers. Then it becomes beautiful. Otherwise, the same flower all the time. This is not a garden. This is commercial. The commercial flower spot. This is not a garden. Garden means for us to enjoy. There should be varieties of things. So differences are there. What's wrong? What's wrong with differences? Where the blind faith must be stopped. We should not forget that only if we don't have to bring all the religions the same, no need, right? For example, physics professors will say that physics is best, philosophy is nothing. Philosophers, professors will tell the physics professor that they don't know anything about life. You're getting it? So you cannot bring everything together. What we can do is just in your own capacity, spread the message that we are all seeking happiness. We are all seeking to run away from miseries, and that happiness and miseries come from ignorance. So the miseries come from ignorance and selfishness. If you can teach this, if you can teach ignorance and selfishness brings the miseries, brings the divisions. Divisions are not because of the differences in philosophy. Divisions because of the selfishness. I, my, and ignorance, saying that I'm objectively real. You're objectively different. This division of self and others said by Acharya Dharmakirti. Where he said in Pramanavartika, where there's a sense of I, there's a sense of others created. With this sense of division created, attachment to self and aversion to the others arise. With this division, split, attachment, aversion, all the miseries ensue. So that's a problem. So what we can do is that instead of bringing all the traditions to see that they're same, that is just your effort will go in vain. The real thing that you can do is try to spread the message that ignorance and selfishness, these two are the problems of the world. Just get rid of them. Teach how to get rid of this. Everybody will agree with you. Teach to get rid of this, and everybody will come together. For example, in the family, brothers, sisters, they're very different. Sisters, they're girls. Brothers, they're boys. And the parents, they're old age. Children, they are young, but they all come together. What's wrong? Simply because they're different doesn't mean that they should be fighting. They come together. But with the differences, the problem is not in the differences in the thought process, but the difference in your ignorance, seeing that I am special. I am special, selfishness, and the ignorance that I am objectively real. These two are the problem creators. So if you can put effort to spread this message, then the world will come closer, closer, closer. First, I would suggest you to put this into action in your house, to make sure that you can bring your family members come together, and then your uncle and your father come together, then your mom and your aunt come together, right? That they're not fighting. If you can succeed in this, then there's hope for the world. Thank you. Yes, please. Okay, this is a good question. Thank you, Yimala. So when we say that the Four Noble Truths exist truly, it doesn't mean that the Four Noble Truths belong to the conventional truth. So the answer is okay. Answer would be okay. To technically speaking, answer would be say no. Answer would be say no. When you say they exist truly means exist truly exists independent of your mind. For example, let's say that okay, how many you think that you are males? Raise hands. And how many think that you are non-males? Raise hands. So we divide ourselves in males and non-males. Now, let me see if objectively we are males or females. Or, okay, let's forget it. Let's go to the next part, which is how many you think that you are the 30 plus, 30 and plus, raise hands. How many think that you are 30 and plus? Okay, how many you think that you are the 29 and below? 29 and below. Okay, look, 29 and below, they are very happy. Okay, now Gisela is telling that we are young. 30 and plus, they are a little sad. Oh, he is identifying that I belong to old category. You're getting it? Okay, so let's say, how many agree with me that age, when I said you feel sad, some people feel happy, and related to the age. I'm young, I'm old, I'm sad, I'm young, he's telling I'm young, happy. So sadness and happiness, these are emotional stirs. These emotional stirs happen because of the ignorance in seeing the age as objectively real, not like a dream. Now, if you know that age is like a dream, your attachment to that I'm young, your aversion to that I'm old will dissolve, and emotional stir will be under control, and you'll be freed from the emotional stir. You will free from the likes and dislikes. There is a liberation. There's nibbana. This is nirvana in Sanskrit. Okay, so age is nothing. Age has nothing to do with your mind. It's with your body. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Age is with your body. Good. Now, the body is nothing but made of the tissues, cells, chromosomes, DNA molecules, atoms, electrons, protons. So finally, this we say the young, old, whatever, with this body, there's nothing but made of electrons, protons, neutrons. Raise hands. You agree with me? Yes. On that level, on the level of the atoms, on the level of electrons, protons, there's no age difference. All the atoms are same age. 15 billion years. All the atoms are same age. 15 billion years old. All the atoms came from Big Bang, which is 15 billion years old. So on that level, there's no age difference. But superficially, we see as some as old, some as young. And yet it is true. We cannot deny that. But objectively, when you go to the object, we see that everybody is same age. Age gap, age difference dissolves. Objectively, there's no age gap. Subjectively, there's age gap. This is there. So therefore, this is understanding of the, I say, the empty of object reality. So when the Buddha taught the Four Nobles to be existing objectively means that Four Noble Truths truly exist there, as truly, meaning that they exist objectively, not by the power of the mind. In second term of Dharma, when the Buddha taught everything exists truly, including Four Noble Truths, is that the way things conventionally exist as subjectively real. Thank you. I think Professor Arunji, you have a question. Yes, Professor Arunji.
Thank you, Venerable, for wonderful lecture. I'm just wondering about that, today we discussed on 4 schools. So how many of, these schools are still continuing in tradition? I'm not talking about in the religious text only, in the tradition. Is there any geographical boundaries? Means it is in tradition or not, and how many of them it is in living tradition? My question is this. Thank you very much.
Professor Arunji, your question is extremely good. Thank you so much. In fact, I would say that let's go back in time. I'd say Nalanda, first let's say Takshashila, Nalanda, Utandapuri, and then the there are many of these the monastery universities, and then the Vrigamanashila. So there, these philosophical traditions, they were all being studied there. Okay, let's begin from the historically speaking. They all were there, but in those days, they were great teachers, really acclaimed teachers, some of them advocating Chittamatra philosophy, some of them advocating Vaibhashika philosophy, some of them advocating Madhyamika philosophy, some of them, for example, let's say the Vaibhashika, there are some very prominent teachers. And like for South Atlantica, so broadly speaking, Acharya Dharmagirti is considered to be from Chittamatra, but his advocation is primarily what revolves around the South Atlantic school. And then let's say, Acharya Dharmagirti himself, Acharya Dignaka, and the advocation of the Chittamatra philosophy is just so detailed. Then Acharya Vasubandhu. So that was in the past. The Vrigamanashila, Nalanda University, they were actually, as you said, not a geographical location, but say amongst the scholars, they were tradition holders. Okay, Chittamatra philosophy tradition holders, and the South Atlantic of the philosophy holders, Madhyamika philosophy holders, tradition holders, they were there. Then they say in China, then from Nalanda, in India, unfortunately, it just disappeared. Very, very, very unfortunate. How I wish that it did not disappear from India. So the real source still is there. That unfortunately. So now we can't do anything. Now the hope lies in the Chinese tradition, Tibetan tradition, and from then the Vietnam went to Vietnam. Vietnam scholars also came to Nalanda, Vrigamanashila, and from there also some scholars went there. But predominant today, what we see is mainly the Chinese tradition and the Tibetan tradition. So in there, we see that it is like one tradition went there. Of these many traditions, one tradition went to China, one to, for example, for Tibet. It was like Bodhisattva Shantarakshita, 8th century AD. He was invited, and he was a Madhyamika philosopher. So all what we are following is all designed by the Bodhisattva Shantarakshita. So he designed everything. So the good thing is that Bodhisattva Shantarakshita, he himself was a logician and a philosopher and epistemologist and psychologist. As such, he encouraged the study of all these traditions. So now today, the good thing is that although we don't really have, let's say, of course, geographically speaking, this was not the case. But even the individually speaking, okay, this group is the holder of the Madhyamika philosopher, this group is the holder of Chittamatra philosopher, although we don't have such things. But we see that within the same individual, for example, my teachers, they are expert in all the 4 schools, expert. You can really see, let him speak on say Vaibhashika. Any Vaibhashika past scholars will be so happy to see that there's somebody who can replicate my thoughts. And then let him speak on Chittamatra from Acharya Vasubandhu. Acharya Digna will be so happy to see that there's somebody who can truly replicate what we thought is Chittamatra. There's somebody who can replicate that. And then let him speak on Madhyamika again. Acharya Chandragirti, Arya Nigarjuna, they'll be so happy that there's somebody who can replicate our thoughts. So with the expertise, we are very fortunate today that the Tibetan tradition is alive, where one scholar is expert in all the 4 traditions, all the 4 schools. This is a greatness. If that is lost forever, that would be the saddest the news for the world. Thank you, Dr. Arunji. Thank you.
question can I ask?
Yes, please. Yes, please, Dr. Arunji.
Is there any specification in within Tibetan folk tradition, Gelug and all the other Nyingma? Is there any such type of association, affiliation with these four schools? Specifically, I can understand one scholar can have all type of understanding of four schools, but is there any specification? This is the last question from my side.
Okay, this is a very, very good question, I would say. Extremely good question. Thank you so much. In fact, this is, okay, let me first speak in, say, broad sense and then into more subtle sense. In a broad sense, because that the tradition was brought to Tibet by Bodhisattva Shandarakshita. Bodhisattva Shandarakshita, he himself was a follower of the Madhyamika philosophy. So he brought this tradition, and the Tibetan scholars, starting with the Nyingma, then followed by Sakya, Kagyu, then followed by Gelug, all these traditions, they consider him as like the progenitor of the Buddhism in Tibet, progenitor. So important figure. And then alongside, particularly with the, say, around 14th century in Tibet, the text written by Acharya Chandragati, which is predominantly Prasangika Madhyamaka. So that was translated into Tibet, in Tibet. It was in 14th century AD. So Acharya Chandragati's text, which today is, in a broad sense, regarded as the highest philosophical position. So that is translated into Tibetan in Tibet and being studied, and it became so widely studied and practiced. So today, broadly speaking, if you ask any Buddhist traditions, be Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelug, all, generally speaking, broadly speaking, they will say that we are all Prasangika Madhyamikas. Broadly speaking. Now, specifically, we see that there are some scholars, for example, within the Nyingma tradition, who may adhere to Bodhisattva Shandarakshita's very, very specific philosophical tradition, which does not correspond to the Prasangika philosophy, which corresponds more to the Savatantrika Madhyamaka, which is considered different from the Prasangika, although fall under the broad umbrella of Madhyamaka, but we see it falls under the Savatantrika Madhyamaka. So there are some tradition today in more detail. What Professor Arunji said is very true. There's some who would say that, okay, Acharya Chandragati's philosophy doesn't make much sense. Bodhisattva Shandarakshita's philosophy, this is ultimate. That is Savatantrika Madhyamaka, not Prasangika. So in detail, if you go in a more subtle form, then the subtle nuances can be there. But overall speaking, because it's all brought to by one scholar, so therefore everybody will say that we are following the Madhyamaka. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Arunji. Yes, please. Okay, this is a good question.
Recording stopped.
Okay, so this is a good question. Thank you. So Buddhism and psychology talk a lot about the mindfulness, and in this world, in the world of people going for the multitasking, how can you incorporate the mindfulness practice? So I would say that even today, yes, the world is changing. Even today, if somebody wants to be a Nobel laureate in physics, then he or she should not go too much into neuroscience, philosophy, or other things. He should focus on physics. If somebody is really interested to become a Nobel laureate in physics, but somebody is interested in just the multidisciplinarian, and of course, to be multidisciplinary, the disciplinarian is very good, very important. Meanwhile, the focus must be one thing. Otherwise, you cannot really specialize in one area. So with this mind, multitasking. For the multitasking, you want to do many things in a short period of time. So for that purpose, particularly if you want to be, it's a matter of what do you want? You want efficiency or no efficiency with multitasking. So for sure, you want to do multitask. You want to be multitasker, meaning that you want to be efficient, many things within short span time, very efficiently. For that matter, your focus attention, that plays a very important role. So therefore, that must be trained separately. If you don't train this separately, then you cannot have it. You cannot have the multitasking effectively done without the mindfulness practice. Thank you. Okay, this is a good question. Okay, let me give you one example. Say that my sister needs the help, and help say my sister's the son needs help to teach, let's say, the chemistry. And I know that my sister is not good in chemistry. So I have to somehow look for help. So now that my nephew learning chemistry is not intrinsically real, it's dependent. There's no objectively real my nephew learning, so it's all dependent. So there's one chemistry teacher who's good in organic chemistry. Then I don't know the person so well, so I asked my sister, you know this teacher, and go to talk to him and ask him to teach organic chemistry to your son. So you look, he requires my help to give the idea that there's somebody who can teach organic chemistry. So, but depends on me and depends on her connection with the chemistry, the teacher, good in organic chemistry, and then finally telling the son that you should be very serious student. So depending on multiple factors, then finally my nephew gets a chance to study chemistry. So it is not intrinsically real. But with this, if I don't know that, okay, now look, what you don't know science, I don't know science, and then my nephew doesn't know science, so what do you do? We're helpless, which means that I don't understand the emptiness of objective reality. Emptiness of objective reality doesn't mean nothing exists. It means things exist by dependence. If you know that dependent origination, we see things can we can make things happen very successfully, effectively. So by understanding dependent origination, emptiness of objective existence, understanding dependent origination, we see that things can be seen working so effectively. So the emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness means dependent origination. Dependent origination means the middle way. Therefore, emptiness means the middle way, not nihilism, not nothingness. So therefore, Arya Nagarjuna taught that whosoever sees emptiness and yet conform to the law of karma, there's amazement of all the amazement, this wonder of all the wonders. So this is what Nagarjuna said. The real mark of having understood emptiness is that you respect the cause and effect so well. If your respect for laws of cause and effect disappears, which means your emptiness understanding falls into nihilism. It's not emptiness, it's nihilism. So this is where, if you understand emptiness, then the intention, the consequences, results, all will come into your mind. You get the full picture of cause and effect, and then you put the right effort with the proper cause to get the right effect. Thank you. This is Betunla.
Mute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for your profound insight talk on the topic of overview for Buddhist schools. Your explanation from the history of the Buddha and basics with the great examples has deepened our understanding for Buddhist philosophy and provide us inspiration. We are truly grateful for the wisdom and knowledge you have shared with us this evening. Thank you so much, Geshe-la. And I also thank Achilamola to take the Q&A session. So now I would like to request Assistant Professor Dr. Shailendra Singh ji for a word of thanks.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Most respected Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni-san, and respected dignitaries, esteemed speakers, faculty members, students, and all the distinguished participants joining us today. So, Namo Buddhaya, Namaskar, and good evening to all of you. On the behalf of Arts, New Delhi, I am honored to extend a heartfelt thank you at the end of this enlightening lecture. First and foremost, we extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul. Venerable Sir, your profound insights on the four schools have significantly of Buddhist philosophy and its various intellectual traditions. Your words have broadened our knowledge and motivated us to further investigate the depth of Dhamma. Sir, we sincerely appreciate your valuable time and wisdom. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to the leadership of Banaras Hindu University, including our respected Dean, Professor Susma Gidial, Madam, and the head of the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Dr. Arun Kumar Yadav, sir, for their continuous support, encouragement, and guidance in organizing such a meaningful academic interactions. We are especially grateful to the Tibet House Cultural Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama for their collaboration and support in making this program possible. So a heartfelt thank you to everyone involved in planning, coordinating, and smoothly executing today's event. The organizing team, especially the students of the Department Pali and Buddhist Studies, Faculty of Arts, whose efficient efforts made this session seamless. Finally, we thank all the participants, faculty members from BHU and other universities, research scholars and other students for joining us and making this event truly successful through your presence and active engagement. May the visit to inspire us in our academic journey and in our understanding the Buddha's teaching. Thank you once again to all of you. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Bhante, Venerable.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Geshe-la, and thank you also Lamo and Chosten and Dechen and all the organizing team, Tibet House and other thing. Formally, he has already thanked all, but being a head of department, again, I thank all of you for giving your precious time, especially Geshe-la. Thank you very much. And hope we will continue in the future with some new topics. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Arunji, Dr. Shailendra, Hamala, and Venerable Chidunla, Dejanla, all of you, all the participants. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
So this is how we will end the program. So I would like to conclude the program with the dedication prayer. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forever and more. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.